Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great week. Hope all of you having a great day. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. In tonight's video, or wherever you're watching it, we got to talk about the Oklahoma quarterback situation because we got an update. For those of you that have no idea what's going on, maybe you've been living under a rock, Oklahoma's Heisman contending quarterback, it seems like he's been taken out of the Heisman conversation. A little foreshadowing, we'll talk about that in just a second. John Mateer, he's been MIA due to a hand injury. I believe that's what it is, isn't it? What did they wind up diagnosing it as, to be exact? Was it a broken hand? It was something along those lines. Got it pulled up right here just to be exact, word for word. He suffered a broken bone in his right hand, which is his throwing hand, and that's a big deal. We already talked plenty about that roughly 2 weeks ago. He went under surgery, and the big game and the big question mark was this right here. Is he going to be able to return for the Red River Shootout, a.k.a. the Texas game? A lot of questions there. Oklahoma did recently blow out Kent State, but with all due respect, it's Kent State. You never like to see your star quarterback go down, but the good news out of all this is you have a more than capable backup who did start some games for you, make some big-time plays last year, in Michael Hawkins Jr. Against Kent State, he wasn't too shabby, 14 for 24, 162 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 INTs. Not bad, you'll take it, but as we all know, you got a different beast this weekend in the Texas defense. They're legit. And what's really interesting about the John Mateer situation is the timetable for him to return was right at, and is right at, the Texas football game. So the million-dollar question is, are they going to try to push him to return for that game, or are they going to sit him an extra week, or do you even try to push him to come back after that? Hold on. Let me pull it up in live time here. Who does Oklahoma have after Texas? I believe it is South Kakalaki on the 18th. Yeah, I got to pull it right here. So after Texas, you got South Kakalaki, Ole Miss, Tennessee. Big. Oh, wait. Then you got Alabama. Holy crap. Every single game. No, wait. My bad. Yeah. Wait. No, that is right. Every single game after South Carolina, you play a ranked opponent. In Texas, some may argue and say they should at least still be in the top 25. I don't think so, but look at this. This is a gauntlet. Holy crap. Texas, Kakalaki. That's on the road. You got Ole Miss, a top 5 team. Tennessee, a top 12 team. Alabama at Alabama. I mean, Alabama speaks for itself. Mizzou, LSU. Whew. Is this the hardest 7-game stretch in all college football? It's got to be. Getting back on track here with Mateer, you can see as to why you don't want to rush him and come back. You want him to be at least 80 to 90% ready to go because you got a big stretch coming down. Of course, you want to beat Texas. Every single game is important. You got to have the mindset of we want to go 1-0. But here's what you got to look at. At what risk? If I were to ask an Oklahoma fan right now, would you mind losing to Texas if that means you win a national championship? I'm sure most of you would say, nah, I get over it. At least that'd be my mentality. The main goal every single year is to win a championship. Who cares about your rival? We'll talk more about that in just a second. Let me show you the breaking news that came out earlier today, and this is a developing story I am watching closely. Pete Thamel was the first to report on this. I'm going to read it off word for word. Sources: Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer is pushing to return this week for the game against Texas. There's a belief that his return is possible as he's reacted well to surgery. That is the newest of new updates. Here's another one. There had been whispers about this all last week. It looks like Mateer is going to try to play this Saturday versus Texas. There are some minor details I could throw in there, but I don't think it's worth your time. The main thing you need to know is that Mateer, his rehab process is looking pretty dang good. The fact you're even talking about, yeah, there's a possibility, a good one at that, he's going to return for the Texas game. That's a good sign because worst case scenario, it sounds like to me, he's going to be back for the Carolina game. And who knows, I'm just not thinking about this. Let's say he could play. He gets cleared for the Texas game. Was this one of those scenarios where you don't start him, you let Michael Hawkins Jr. run the show a little bit, and if you're beating Texas by 14, 20, or you don't even need Mateer to come in, you just don't play him. It could be one of those situations where you have him on standby. He's on call, where if you're losing by 7 or 10 points, you then throw him in the game. He's like the closer. You don't really see that a lot, but I think it could be one of those situations that may just happen. And if I were the head coach, Brent Venables, I would think about it. Even if they do clear him to play, he's not going to be 100%. So let's say, hold on, John Mateer. We'd love for you to play in this game, my brother. Absolutely. You are the captain of this team. You're the star quarterback. But we're going to roll with Michael Hawkins Jr. Let's see how he does. Texas, they're not that good on offense. Arch Manning, he sucks. He's a terrible quarterback, but that's a different conversation for a different day. I think our defense is good enough to hold Texas to 10, 17, 20 points. And I think Michael Hawkins Jr. is good enough to lead us to 27 and 30 points. So we're going to roll with him. But if it's going sideways early in the first quarter, the second quarter, the first half, or the third quarter, whenever, we'll put you in there. In worst case scenario, we lose the game. not that big of a deal with the 12-team playoff. You're still going to make it if you run the table. I don't think that's a great mindset to have, but this is one of those exceptions where you can say, hey, if we need to blow one of our mulligans here, we don't mind doing it because we don't want to risk an injury to John Mateer. Because here's the bad thing. I hope this doesn't happen. I hate injuries. But hypothetically speaking, what if you start John Mateer and he re-injures his hand or he gets hurt somehow, some way? Well, was it really worth it to win this one single game over Texas? If you got to ask me, no, it's not. I'd rather have him for the playoff. I'd rather have him for the last 5 games of the season than the next 1 or 2. But that's just me. Let me know in the comment section how you feel. With Oklahoma being undefeated, sitting pretty, even with a loss, it's a tough decision, even if he's cleared. It's one that there's arguments for both sides, and it doesn't matter what you choose to do. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I'll use the NFL for an example. There's a reason when a team clinches a playoff spot and there's 1 week to go and they can't go up or down, the starting quarterback doesn't play. It's useless. What's the point? Sure, you want to win the game, but it's not that big of a deal. We care more about the playoff run. I think you have to have the same mentality and approach here. Granted, a little bit different here. Oklahoma doesn't have anything locked up at all. But let's look at it. Actually, you know what? Let me tell you what I would do. Here's my 2 cents, and let me know in the comment section, how would you handle this? We're going to do another hypothetical here. Let's say they clear him on Thursday. Hey, Mateer, he's ready to go. He can suit up on Saturday. Like I talked about only a couple minutes ago, I would have the approach of, hey, John Mateer, we're going to let Michael Hawkins Jr. start this thing, and the offense is rolling. We're winning the game by 10, 17 points. We're just going to leave him in there because we don't want to have you hurt. You're our star quarterback. We want you 100% healthy, ready to go for the next 5 games in the playoff run. That's case in scenario number 1. Case in scenario number 2, same thing. Michael Hawkins Jr., he starts this game, but Texas, they're winning by 7, 10 points in the third or fourth quarter. I would then put Mateer in the game for the last couple of drives. See if he can get us a comeback win. If he doesn't, no big deal. That is the approach I would have. I don't care if they clear him. I wouldn't start him. I'd just throw Michael Hawkins Jr. in there. And guys, it's not like Hawkins Jr. is a bum. The kid can play quarterback. He'd probably be starting at a bunch of other colleges out there. Is he as great as Mateer? No, but he is a viable option. And worst case scenario, with those interception, you just put Mateer in there. Let's go back to Oklahoma's schedule, though. Let me pull it up. So you got Kakalaki at Kakalaki. You host Ole Miss. You got to go to, whew, man. Whew, that's going to be brutal. You got to go to Neyland. That's probably going to be a night game. Yikes. Then you got to go to it. Wow. Man, this is, I know I said earlier, but golly, 2 Neyland, 2 Tuscaloosa. Good luck. That's all I'm going to say. You host Mizzou, then luckily you host LSU. I couldn't imagine going 2 Neyland, 2 Bryant-Denny, and 2 Death Valley. That's 3 of the hardest places to play in and win at. That's what makes all this so fascinating because you can say, well, Matt, we can't look at Texas like, oh, we can burn a mulligan here. We're going to need that mulligan at Neyland or at Alabama because playing at Neyland at Alabama, a good record in that is 1-1. So there's 1 mulligan right there. The way Oklahoma's schedule is looking right now, losing 2 games from this point on would be good. You don't really have a lot of losses to play with. And technically, Texas is one of the worst teams remaining on your schedule. So you really need to secure this one. What do I think is going to happen? I don't think he's going to be fully ready, but he is such a competitor. He's going to be pushing that training staff to clear him, and he's going to play in this Texas ball game. You better believe that. He may be limited on some of the things he can do, but they're going to shoot him up. If you know, they shoot these guys up, and that adrenaline's going to kick in. He's going to be ready to go. If I had to give you my best educated guess with all the information we have presented to us, the fact they're even talking about there's a possibility he's going to return, and it's only Tuesday, it's probably going to happen. Who knows, though? And like I said, I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. But